Particle P moves in a straight line with an acceleration sine omega t meters per second squared at t seconds, where omega is a constant. Initially the particle is at rest, so v equals 0 when t equals 0, and at a fixed point O on the line, displacement from a fixed point O, so x is equal to 1 when t equals 0. So those conditions are useful. So part A, find the velocity p at any time t. So the velocity is going to be the integral of the acceleration. So we're going to integrate sine omega t. Now when we integrate sine, we get negative cos. So we're going to get a constant, take away cos omega t, divided by omega. Remember to use the chain rule. So v equals 0 when t equals 0. So 0 equals c1, take away cos of 0 over omega, but cos of 0 is of course 1. So c1 take away 1 over omega, which would make c1 equal to 1 over omega. So the velocity is 1 over omega, take away cos omega t over omega. We could make that into a single fraction. In fact, let's just do that. 1 take cos omega t over omega. So find the displacement at any time. So now we need to integrate v, and it's probably best to go from this one. So we've got 1 over omega, take away cos omega t over omega. Now 1 over omega is a constant, so we're going to get 1 over omega t. Cos, so we want to integrate cos. Cos integrates to sine. So, whoops. So that's going to be minus sine omega t. Another omega is going to come out and divide. And then we're going to get another constant, which we'll call c2. And we've got x is equal to 1 when t equals 0. Well, when t equals 0, this term would be 0. Sine of 0 is 0. So that means that c2 is equal to 1. So x is going to be 1 over omega t minus sine omega t over omega squared, add 1. So that was part B, wasn't it? So in part C, we've got to find the value of t when p next comes to instantaneous rest. So, of course, we've got this expression here for velocity. And so velocity equals 0 would mean that cos omega t is equal to 1. Now we know that happened when v is 0. Now the next time the cosine is equal to 1, remember it's 1 here, 0, negative 1, 0, it's back to 1 here. That tells me that omega t is equal to 2 pi. So that means that t would be equal to 2 pi over omega. And that is something else you might recognize from physics.